So that's a can of blue done for the front section. There are bits that seem quite thin on some of the kind of highlights, some of the high ground. So the decision when you're doing a body like this is, do you get another can? Do you go for a more solid fill on it? Or do you let your backing colour pick that up? You know, some might say that it will pop more with that backing colour so that the highlights are going to be brought out more by that backing colour and you'll get kind of a more contoured body. And some might think that you want a more solid colour to just give you exactly the right colour. But you know, that's for the individual to decide. None is right, none is wrong. You can do it either way. What am I going to do? I've not decided. I think I have decided, and I think I'm going to go for the less predictable option. Because I'm using 3 different tones, I think I'm going to get some extra fill from those different colours, and that I think is going to really pick out the highlights quite nicely on this. It'll be a bit of an experiment as well, so I think it'd be interesting to find out what happens. The next stage is to take off this masking for the second main colour and then spray that in. Now when you're planning out your paint job, sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil and just figure out the order in which you need to put the paint on. And from that you can work out the way you need to mask it. So you can see the stripes I've got on here, those are masked out and they're underneath this other masking. So it's all ready to go so that I can lay down the first colour, take that masking off, lay down the second colour, then take your detail masking off, and you're making your job a lot easier. So really think about which order you're going to get things done and how you can make life as easy as possible. Now that block masking of the polythene has been removed, we need to remove the edge masking, which is just a tape. Now, taking that off, don't leave it too long, don't take it off too quickly. You want the paint to be hard, not rubbery, but not completely dried. And as you're pulling it off, just apply a bit of pressure to the paint side to discourage it from lifting up from the shell. Now the second colour has been added, so the whole of the van body is now coloured, except those windows and the masked bits, of course. Now, as you can see, it's not actually all that opaque. If you see the light from my phone through the back, it's quite a lot of light getting through. And I've hardly wasted any of this second colour, which is another full can, on the back part of here, but don't worry about this. Now for the fun bit, removing these stripe masks. Now this is always the joy of doing any sort of masking work, because this is kind of your reveal, this is when it starts to feel like your proper design, so enjoy it. Okay, so we've got the 3 main colours done now, as well as that black. You can see it's had a few shaving accidents. Now this, just to clarify, these extra bits of masking on the outside are either where the protective film has been scuffed, so always watch out for that, you don't want bits of overspray creeping through those, and wherever there are holes drilled. So just get those extra bits on just to protect it. So yeah, the 3 main colours are done. That's a can of each. All the masking, apart from the windows, is off. It's quite deceptive when you're spraying with these sorts of colours. So you can see here, with the light behind, it's very kind of translucent. But don't worry about that too much, because otherwise you're going to be using like 10 cans of these sorts of pearls and metallics, when really you just want to be looking for nice backing. So the next thing I'm going to do on this is I'm going to do a silver spray for the backing to just make that sort of metallic side of things pop out more. Then it's going to get a white to really brighten it, and finally I'm going to do a black or a very dark sort of metallic. I'll have a look what I've got as just the sort of lining, so that when you're driving, when you can see underneath inside, it doesn't look so bad. You want it to be black, really. The ideal colour for the inside is black for the last coat, otherwise you get some horrible videos going on. Here's a proper look at the inside of the shell, and as you can see, it all looks nice and clean, but very, very translucent. Now, do not worry about this, because this is what we talked about with the backing colours. They're going to pull it all together. And the first one we're going to put on is the silver. So here it is with the silver layer added. Now, it honestly looks like it's just been dusted with something. It's a really weird but very cool effect. But you can see from the outside it's really, really working, that it's got that sparkle, even though it didn't seem like a lot on the inside. Now I've added the white. Now this is locking in that silver and bouncing back all that lovely sparkle with the light from the outside, so you're not losing any of that sparkle effect. Now for the black, white's on. We're now going to get the black for the finished colour, just so it looks nicer from underneath, really. So just a little bit of the general technique, that we're not holding the can constantly, we're not doing a lot of spraying, it's just small sprays. Nice and light. And just build it up slowly. So that's going to have time to dry. Try not to waste too much on the areas you're masking. So if you've got windows, try to go in between them. Don't miss the details, and just work it in. Don't be in a hurry to get coverage, that's just over time. And then once I've done a coat, warming it up with the hairdryer, helping the paint to cure and keeping the body warm, so that when the next coat goes onto it, it's going to stick better because it's a warm body. Well, here's the finished item. Looking pretty good, I reckon. You can see that all those layers, all those paint layers, have paid dividends. So it might have cost quite a bit in paint, but it's worth it. And you can see on that magenta in particular, you can really see that sparkle going on, which is from having that silver over the top of the magenta, and then the white behind that, just to get the light really reflecting, get that colour popping. It's done a nice job on this purple as well. Even the blue, although it's very, very dark, it's definitely got a nice tone to it, and it's, you know, it's nicely reflective. It picks out the light well. So just to remind you what it's like inside, we've got that black coat as the final coat, so that we're not having a light coat when you can just see underneath. if you're filming your crawler from low down, or whatever kind of car it is, if you're filming it from low down, you don't want to be seeing a white interior, a white underneath the chassis. It's going to look very unrealistic. Window masks, although it didn't go perfectly, we're doing okay because it's not too bright a colour. You're not worrying too much about the detail on there, so overall that looks quite nice. Next challenge is perhaps going to be the mounting on the chassis, but also I want to get an interior in here, so I need to figure out how to do that. So we'll be finding out what happens with that as well, and of course it's going to have plenty of scale details. So stay tuned and you can see how we get on with it and what we put it on. Thanks for watching.